Yep, we're live. We're live.
Welcome everyone to College Game Day Week 4. We are live from Knoxville, Tennessee, city on the river. And boy, do we have a good slate of games this week. A huge SEC matchup here in Knoxville. The Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. First, I'm going to take a look at a couple of games that we've seen already. On the Thursday night slate, out in Norfolk, Virginia, NC State took on Old Dominion. And behind Blake Fry, surprisingly, and Keith Harley, the Wolfpack were able to win it 28-13. What are your thoughts on this game, guys?
To be fair, I'd say this was the only game I actually thought NC State was going to win this year. I'm not surprised they won. But with that said, Blake Fry has actually been at least a halfway decent quarterback so far this year.
I actually wanted to say this is the most yards he's put up in a game yet. 200 yards.
That's incredibly sad.
Yes, it is.
On 25 attempts, that's 8
That's
yards.
awful. That's 8 yards an attempt.
Not bad.
8 yards an attempt. It's
not the awful we've come to expect from Blake Fry.
Yeah, and look at his 2 touchdown passes of the day. A 15-yard touchdown pass to Josiah Raji to open up the third, and then a 20-yard pass to Oliver Sherrill. So he's been throwing it deep in this one, and it seemed to come along well.
It was like someone was using straight post anyway. Then on ODU side, there are 2 4-5 or 2-4 quarterback scrambles. It's just been okay for them so far. Dylan, Hamlin, and then and look at the O-line rating. They still, this was expected from a CUS 18. They still got a 3.0.
Yeah, the offensive line rating's not the best in this one.
Yes, like the stat of note for this game, their combined offensive line ratings are about an average offensive line rating.
Yeah, it's about what you'd expect from these 2 teams. But on Old Dominion's side, they could not stop Isaac Holly and Kenneth Stanford. 2 of them get a sack apiece. And some more pressure, forcing Hamlin to a rough throw in the second quarter. Eddie Ruffin was able to pick it off and take it to the house. Just a poor offensive showing from Monarchs, but again, as expected. All right. Next game up in Gainesville, it is Tulane going to Florida, and Florida kind of strangled the life out of Green Wave in this one. Decent performances from Jaden Grant, Ethan Newby, but the defense really stepped up again. Emmanuel Moore sacking Randall Moulton in the end zone for safety. Giovanni Bynum picking off Moulton, as well as Nigel Lott. Just a very rough outing for Tulane.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they were prepared to head all the way to Florida.
This is kind of what you'd expect this game. Tulane's pretty awful, and Florida's not that good, but they're not terrible. They're not nearly as bad as Tulane.
Yeah, the Tulane offense has taken a dramatic turn since that 35-point showing against Purdue.
Randall Muleton's probably not the long-term answer, but neither was Edward, the old QB, Edward Mullen. So,
yeah, this quarterback play in general is going to be downfall of the Green Wave. And this one, unable to be consistent. A couple picks that could have cost the Green Wave points. Very few bright spots, though. Yeah, Brian Blackwell getting a interception to Grant, and Alpha McKinnon, one of my new favorite names, getting to Grant for a sack. But again, 4-13 on third downs, a higher number of penalties. Just an ugly game for Tulane. They got to turn it around fast. Right, next up, we have a showdown in Arlington between a couple Power 5 teams. Syracuse, led by the thrilling sensation, Dylan Bishop, going up against the Utes. And Bishop, again, takes over in this one. A couple touchdowns through the air, 2 more on the ground. Defense is able to contain Culver. Syracuse wins at 31-20.
Yeah, Dylan Bishop's kind of showed out to start the season. I played Syracuse every year prior to this year, and I don't remember this guy's name So,
No, he was a JUCO transfer. If memory
oh, was
serves correct.
he?
Yeah, if memory serves correct.
Okay, that would make sense then.
Yeah, Eleanor Hennessy was the starter
Right, he
last year.
graduated.
Yes.
But yeah, he's making Syracuse look like an actual decent team, which they have not been for a long time.
Yeah, and Syracuse has had years of coaching of AI recruiting. Even though, to be fair, Gusto seems to have stabilized the program a bit.
But yes, he's done a fantastic job coming in for the Orange. Only 2 losses so far to Clemson and Boston College. The rest have been fairly comfortable wins, including the upset over Florida State last year. But this year,
Oh yeah.
had the overtime loss to Georgia, but Dylan Bishop has been lights out in most, if not all, of his games. He's the guy I'd pay special attention to down the line once conference games start. He could be on that short list for Heisman if things go well. For Utes, you still got 2 sacks on Bishop, so those 60 yards and 7 carries includes those sacks. You got an interception from James Larson, so it's not a poor showing from Utah. They were able to make plays, but
on the defensive side, I would not say it was a very good showing. Giving up 427 yards, if my math's correct.
they were including sacks. They were able to make a couple big plays, but in the end, Dylan Bishop is just showing why he's the newcomer sensation. Going to Charlotte, we had an ugly game here between 2 winless Conference USA teams. The Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee going to Charlotte and falling 15-13. And I just want to talk a little bit about Nicholas McMahon. 5 field goals in this one, all 15 of Charlotte's points. Each of them came from 40 yards or longer. This guy
isn't he? I believe he was a 4-0 transfer from Nebraska, if memory serves correct.
I can confirm that in a second. Transfers.
No, not this year, but it was like the year
last
before.
year. Maybe.
Either way, this was a depressing game.
Yeah, there's not much to look at, but if you take anything from this, it's that Charlotte has a stud of a kicker.
Let's keep them. You know, to be fair, I'd expect Charlotte, given that they were 5-7 last season, to do a little bit of a better job, and they actually got a fullback in JUCO.
Yeah, is that Carter Helms?
Yeah, you know, they got 2 4-5 fullbacks in JUCO. One's number 2 on their depth chart for it, and one's Carter Helms, if memory serves correct.
Yeah, and Helms has been doing a decent job on the ground. And this one, 113 yards and 23 carries, so decent performance. Middle Tennessee has looked better, I'd say, and better being a relative term to last year. They're not just balling it out in the air this year. They're mixing up their rushes and passes, and they're a little more unpredictable.
Well, yeah, and the new QB is probably a scrambler, so
That is correct, yes. Yeah.
that could explain why.
Not much to talk about here, just Nicholas McMahon, a fantastic kicker.
Yeah, and then the O-line ratings, it's 2-0 from Middle Tennessee and 3-0 from Charlotte. So another game of awful O-line ratings. But again, that's to be expected.
Made State and Old Dominion look good. All right, going over to Houston, the Bobcats traveling to the Cougars. Ahmed Abdul had a decent game in this one, and Houston was able to come out with a 28-17 win, send the Bobcats to 1-2. This is one of a few games where Houston's offense has looked competent as of late. He had 229 yards and 2 touchdowns from Abdul, 85 yards and 2 touchdowns on 19 carries from Tolliver. It was a good showing, regardless of the pair of sacks from the Bobcats.
And Ohio, if memory serves correct, is not the worst MAC team. And while I've been criticizing fellow AAC coaches for ranking Houston too high in weekly coaches polls, I will say this, that at least the past couple weeks they look like a halfway decent team, unlike the week they barely beat UTCSA. So, I'll give them that much.
Yeah, in relative terms, Houston doesn't look that great as opposed to last year, but they've managed to get out to a 3-1 start so far.
So
And
things could be a lot worse.
yeah, ground game did not show up though, or ground rush defense didn't show up, giving up 129s and 2 touchdowns to Owen Walton. But they were able to keep Stephen Ring shaky on a day, and defense just did enough to beat Ohio.
Yep, and Ham made out Buell East, even though I don't know why I'm kind of not sure why he's starting over 2, 4, 5. At least it's looked halfway decent. So
Right, at least he's kind of justifying it instead of playing awfully.
that is true. He's managing to look good enough. We'll see how this turns out come conference play. Let's go from shaky quarterback play to one of the best quarterbacks in the country right now. Got Fresno State going to San Jose State. Ryan Harris and Sam Hiller-Weeden. Every week I'm going to bring this duo up because they keep doing their thing, and that wasn't the exception here in San Jose. 365 yards and 3 touchdowns from Ryan Harris. 115 of those yards went to Hiller-Weeden. But I feel the offense should have scored more than 24 points in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think San Jose State's defense is the greatest, but it's hard to ask Harris to do any more than he did in this game.
Yeah. San Jose State did good job of keeping the score close. I mean,
yeah, they did get a pick too, so.
Yeah, Logan Ritter, the interception in the first quarter, gives some momentum to the Spartans, only for Harris to take it away. Theo Link at quarterback, not the best performance, of course. A pair of interceptions. Offensive line couldn't stop Omar McManus from wreaking havoc. Second half from him. If the offense could figure itself out, maybe the Spartans have a chance at a couple games. But until that happens,
yep, too bad that Killer didn't get David Kaplan for another year, because it would have been a somewhat interesting team to watch. Had David Kaplan had another year of eligibility.
If Kaplan were here, San Jose State might have already won a game by now. Kaplan's a stud, a lot better than Theo Link, but you've got to work with what you have now. He's not doing a terrible job, I'd say. This game is a little closer than the stats indicate, at least. So maybe Killer's got something going on. But Ryan Harris, Sam Hiller-Weeden, the deadliest quarterback receiver combo in the country.
Probably.
Here. All right, moving on to Hawaii and UTEP. Hawaii's gotten out to an impressive 2-0 start. Make it 3-0 as they win 31-20 in El Paso. Lucas Bean and Levi Klein, 5 touchdowns combined. Klein in particular, 3 touchdowns and 117 yards. Defense combining for a sack on Jake Perry. Hawaii's out of 3-0, guys. What do you think about this?
I think it's a better performance than Wes Van Dyke ever put up.
Well, I mean, Van Dyke wasn't that bad his senior year, but I mean, but yeah, given that they lost Charlie Walter, Marcus Radaman, and Van Dyke, I mean, I think Hawaii's bounced back pretty good, but they haven't played anyone yet, so it's hard to say. Well, no, they beat UConn last week, so I mean, they at least have a halfway decent one.
Yeah, they've gotten a win against UConn, which I penciled down as a strong one for Hawaii. But in the absence of Walter, Van Dyke, and Radaman, Bean and Klein have stepped in and have looked really good.
But have Hawaii played anyone of note?
UConn.
Yeah.
But then UConn blew it, but then I'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that one in a bit. But yeah, Hawaii's going to get to the conference late, maybe undefeated. I haven't seen the rest of their schedule yet. Give me 1 second.
It looks like they should at least make a bowl.
Oh, without a doubt. I think this is a team that can definitely reach a bowl. secure that.
Let me see. They have Hawaii has Fresno, SDSU, UNLV, UNR, and San Jose State in the division. So I mean, I'm sure they'll win a couple of those.
They'll have a bye week next week before taking on arguably the toughest stretch of the year. A neutral site game with Rutgers in Moscow, Idaho. A road trip to Reno to take on Nevada. And a trip to Fort Collins to take on Colorado State.
Ooh, that
if they can get a win in there, I'd be sold. If they can win one of those, I'd be sold on them. And their best chance would likely be Colorado State. But for now, 3-0, got solid performances from Klein and Bean. Benjamin Epps looking like the guy to replace Radaman right now, but we'll see. But yeah, Hawaii's doing all right. Going to Winston-Salem, Wake Forest and UCLA, and the Bruins have really fallen. Getting a 17-7 win, but this is back-to-back unimpressive wins from the.
This game I think is kind of boring.
Oh, without a doubt.
With the only exception of Michael Haynes getting a touchdown on defense. Otherwise, this is so boring.
Yeah, the pick 6 from Haynes. You had a forced fumble recovery from Norris Toney. 2 sacks from Blake Tipton, and another interception from Rayantino. Philly's defense was all over Milner and Palmer, but the offense has really nothing right now. I mean, sure, you had Darius Waters getting 108 yards and a touchdown, but this is a team you should beat by more than 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although their defense looked good, I'm sure Elias Milner is making the Wake fans clamor for the days of DeSock Jenkins.
DeSock Jenkins,
No.
Roy McCray too.
Yeah, I don't think Palmer's that bad. He's definitely having to carry the load for his offense. If they had a coach, we'd see that.
Fumble doesn't help, though.
Yeah, fumble doesn't help, but the way this UCLA defense played, it was to be expected. But UCLA's not going to win many games this year if they can't figure out what to do offensively. And this one, against a weaker Wake team, only 240 yards in the air and with an interception. Averaged less than 4 yards a carry on the ground. Yikes.
Yeah, averaged 3.3 yards a carry against Wake Forest is not a good sign.
And that is going to come back to bite them with games in the near future against Arizona State, Baylor, and Oregon.
Yeah, it's hard to believe at this point that they got votes in the preseason poll.
Yeah, the loss of D-Stack coach, Shianko at running back. Yikes. Going on to the last one of the day in Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple, California taking on the Wildcats, and this one was kind of interesting.
Yeah, a little bit more interesting.
Kansas State's looked much improved from last year, still unable to get that elusive win over a Power 5 team. But Julius Minnow giving Kansas State what they've lacked for most of their history, a decent passing game. 205 yards and a touchdown in this one. A pair of interceptions doesn't help, though. But 21 points on Cal, not bad.
Yeah, Minnow didn't look great, but he doesn't have much help around him, so it's hard to blame him too much.
Yeah. Leonard Norris and Hakeem Black cooling down from last week's showing of UAB. Norris still looked kind of impressive, 309 yards and a touchdown. Had the unfortunate pick to Figueroa. Hakeem Black short of 100, failed to reach the end zone. Overall, it's a good win for Cal, I'd say.
Yeah, then stud recruit Blair, Lewis Thompson got an interception. Then Hakeem Black had another good game.
Decent games all around. 2 sacks from the Cal defense.
Oh, yeah.
Elijah Humphrey keeping up the tradition of good Kansas State running backs. 110 and a touchdown in this one. All right, so as always, we take a look at the person that we thought performed best, calling it helmet stickers now. So let's start with you, Evan. If you'd give a helmet sticker to one of these guys, who would you give it to?
It still probably has to be at this point. I know I'm stealing Ryan Harris, actually. Ryan Harris.
All right. Yeah, 365 and 3 touchdowns to San Jose State. Most of that with the help of Hiller Weed and Jumbo.
I'll shout out to Levi Klein, even though it was against UTEP, 3 touchdowns and 4 yards of carry is pretty good.
Yes. Filling in for Van Dyke and doing that is impressive, even if it is against UTEP. I want to go to a game in Winston-Salem, and I want to point out Blake Tipton here. Well, I really just want to point out the UCLA defense, but Tipton in particular for 2 sacks in the day. You also got Michael Haynes at that pick 6, but I don't want to pick one guy out of that group. UCLA just dominating Wake defensively. Got a few more games on the Friday slate. I know Jumbo's pointing out a lot of performances, so let's dive into those. And first one in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Oklahoma State, the Fighting Raheems against the Hilltoppers. And Raheem Robinson was Raheem Robinson. 169 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 receptions. What are your guys' thoughts here?
Well, Raheem Robinson's being Raheem Robinson, and Western Kentucky is not the Western Kentucky we saw last year. I mean, I feel like I've said that already, but it's still true. And then another thing to know is that Oklahoma State was 6 for 10 on 3rd down.
It could not be stopped when it mattered most there. If you're a Cowboy here, this is kind of what you want to see. Oklahoma State winning games they should win by comfortable margins. They finally got a really comfortable one here. A 34-point win. Chester Brenner looked fantastic. Raheem was doing Raheem things. Defense stepped up. This is yards better than what it was against Ball State last week. Just everything was clicking.
Yep. Raheem showing why he's going to be a top 5 pick in the draft this upcoming year.
Yep, and probably trying out for the Chargers at this one, at the way and San Diego seasons are going.
Right, down to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, UConn coming off that loss to Hawaii and Southern Miss. And the Golden Eagles here, picking up the upset of the Huskies.
Yeah, I can't believe this. This is the first time the USA team has been an AAC team.
Well, I don't think there'd be any very few other USA teams can get into that. But here, Harrison Wire, Dexter Flowers, and the Golden Eagles knocking off UConn. Dexter Flowers laid a crushing hit on Marshawn and picked up the ball himself. And Harrison Wire capitalized on it.
With that said, I still think UConn definitely should have won this game. They easily they outgained them without counting penalties, but they kind of blew it with the penalty difference.
Well, the yards gained were literally about even. It was like 290 to 289.
Yeah,
but I think it's the turnover, Miller putting the ball on the ground that kind of turned the game around.
Dexter Flowers nonsense. Oh, and then UConn did not get a single sack.
Because Flowers put the ball on the ground and then the Eagles punched it in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what changed the game.
Yeah, being able to capitalize on these turnovers is key, and Southern Miss was able to do just that. And when you're taking on guys that are obviously better than you, you've got to take advantage of it. So, great job from Wooden and the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss. Dexter Flowers, we keep bringing his name up every week, and no exception this time. Going on to Greenville, North Carolina, a couple 0-2 AAC teams, Navy and East Carolina, and Pirates pulled this one out 16-10. Kevin, you're the designated American Conference guy. What are your thoughts?
This was kind of what to be expected. ECU looked a little bit better after struggling the past 2 weeks, and then Even though I didn't think Navy did too bad, they don't have much talent, honestly. Basically their team last year was basically Chris Bell, and now he's gone. I mean, they struggled, but this hasn't. But to be fair, this wasn't really a terrible game by Navy. I'd say no, ECU was coachless, so.
Yeah, yeah. See, yeah, Navy's lacking that talent that they had last year. No Chris Bell, no Vontae Powell.
Oh yeah, Vontae Powell. Yes, I keep forgetting about him. And then,
So virtually nothing in the receiving core. Got a bad O line. Navy's going to struggle to win games, week in, week out. This is
one interesting thing is there was no sacks nor any interceptions for either team this game.
Yeah, this was an incredibly boring game overall.
It kind of was. I mean, it was kind of a typical ECU game, but I mean, it was a little bit closer than I thought it would be. Which kind of makes me optimistic that maybe I can beat either ECU or UConn.
And the way both teams have been playing, I wouldn't doubt that.
But I mean, my NFL HC team is 1-5, so anything is possible.
Interesting note: Eli Toyotama, 102 yards, but held out of the end zone this time. Is that back-to-back weeks he's missed the end zone?
I can't remember.
Played Nebraska last week, so.
He played at Nebraska and at Michigan State. Got blown out twice.
Where are you? I'm finding it. Here we go.
But not exactly indicative of a bad performance. It could just be he got held out of the end zone because they passed.
Also true. There was a lot of passing on this one. More than there should be, but coachless team expected. Moving on to Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Cincy. Little rivalry game here, and Louisville made quick work of them, at least in the second half. Aiden Steele out of nowhere. 3 touchdowns, 260 yards, only 8 incompletions. Louisville's offense looked yards better than it has in the past couple games.
Yeah, and I think Cincy's depth problems were easily exposed. This game was tied 14-14, then Louisville scored 21 unanswered points. So.
Yeah, lack of talent on the bench.
Yeah, Aiden's still not the best passer, but since he's lack of secondary depth, it was easy to exploit them.
Yeah, Mario Ruff was awfully quiet in this one. I know he's had a couple of big games recently. Pick sixes in both of them, I think.
He tackles isn't awful.
Yeah, not awful, but not nearly as explosive as he has been. Kieran O'Connell's looked all right on the ground. 106 yards and a touchdown. This one, not the best, but not the worst. Again, this is about what I expected. Maybe a little closer, really.
And the teams combined were 0 for 2 on field goals, too.
I mean, I don't think Bowman's done a terrible job at Cincy, to be honest.
Well, he's got to win. That's already that's already doing a lot better.
Yep, I remember
That's pretty much meeting expectations.
I predicted both Tulane and Cincy to go 0-12. It looks like I'm already wrong with the Cincy part of it.
And the way Tulane's playing, right? They may break it.
Yeah, I think Tulane will squeeze out a win.
Going on to Buffalo, New York. A couple of winless teams in Marshall and the Bulls. And Mamadou Wynn shaking off a rough performance against the Sooners with a 156-yard, 3-touchdown game here. What a way to come back.
Oh, yeah.
4.73 yards per carry.
Oh, and one thing that's pretty amazing for MAC teams is 7.2 O-line rating for Buffalo.
Yep. Seth's investment in an O-line paying off dramatically here. Still let up a sack to a Damani Glenn, but...
Yeah. Well, look, you know Buffalo's going to run the ball at you, and if you can't stop it, then you just don't have personnel to stop it.
Yes. Buffalo runs this smash mouth offense where you know they're going to give it a win, but you're not going to be able to stop them. Even Oklahoma had problems with him last week, only forcing a couple of fumbles on him to really slow him. But interesting of note here, Stephen Coates had a pair of touchdowns on the ground as well, 44 yards and 8 carries. This Buffalo's ground game is really good, especially for a MAC team. All right. Off to San Antonio, Bowling Green, UTSA. Bowling Green able to get revenge on the Roadrunners this year. Malachi McKnight getting a sack and a half. William Banks finally looking decent on the ground, 110 yards and a touchdown there. Is this about what you guys expected?
Pretty much. UTSA seems to be more of a passing offense, and Bowling Green has two really good defensive ends to get after the QB.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
combined three
it's sort of
sacks.
what I expected.
Combined 3 sacks between McKnight and Isaiah Hall. So fantastic job on the Falcons' defense here. Onward to Ruston, Louisiana. More winless teams, Eastern Michigan and Louisiana Tech. David Porter starting off the game with a pick 6, and that really set the tone for the game. EMU didn't make a late comeback, but Lucas Shea is 356 yards and 2 touchdowns is enough. 2 sacks combined from the defense, and Bulldogs get their first win of the year.
Albert Villarreal at receiver had 11 catches for 95 yards and returned a punt 58 yards for a touchdown.
Special teams.
Special teams makes the difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just Louisiana Tech was able to win this game with big plays. You got the pick 6 and the 58-yard punt return in the first quarter. You got a 41-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Hobson in the third quarter. So Louisiana Tech able to win with the big play here. Eastern Michigan, how have the mighty have fallen, if you can call them mighty?
I remember, like, the year they lost to Temple and then won every game. Other than that, and then, like, lost, like, the MAC championship or something like that. Now ECU. Now not ECU, but now EMU is kind of a bad team.
Yeah,
Louisiana Tech threw the ball 65 times. Lucas Shea looked just okay. I think it was actually okay-ish. And they still won by 4 points thanks to special teams and defense.
Well, to be fair, they did miss 2 field goals, so I don't know how much you can thank special teams. It was pretty much a net 0.
also true. Yeah,
I mean, their kicker missed a 30-yard field goal. They might as well stop attempting them.
hit your field goals, people, please. Yeah, EMU missing head coach Tamath here, and Mark McLeod at running back. Utah State, UNLV, another game that kind of went as expected.
Man, I thought Utah State would pull it out because Utah State was a little bit better, but my Rebels have actually been pretty good this season. They barely lost to Duke, they beat Charlotte, and now they beat Utah State.
You know why they've been really good?
Noel Minor.
Noel Minor. 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. Granted, against a weaker Utah State team. Interesting note, though, defense really blew it up in this one. 3 interceptions on Travis Love, which isn't impressive because we know Travis Love is very meh. But, yeah, UNLV just ran away with this, and that's impressive to say considering it's UNLV.
UNLV AI.
Oh, is it AI now? No, it's not AI anymore, but it was for this game.
Well, I didn't see a depth chart posted, so I think there's still AI control.
Oh, yet. We'll see. Yeah, both defenses had a couple big plays. You had 2 sacks from Brian Lindsay and Leon Ayers. Of course, 3 picks from the running Rebs. But this Noel Minor kid has looked fantastic in every game so far. So just
I can't even find what rating he is.
He's a 3 or 4.
3-4. All right, so yeah, maybe he gets to draft him in 2 years. Probably not, but maybe he'll be on someone's practice squad.
It's possible.
Yeah. Enjoy it while
You
you
know
can,
what?
minor.
Yeah, the UNLV running grabs, even though it's mostly for basketball, they run the ball well here too.
And one more Mountain West showdown on the day. New Mexico going to Boise State. This time last year where Viva Los Lobos started pulling off.
Yeah.
Upsetting the Broncos. In this one, though, it went the other way. Boise picking up their first win with Marquise Allen's touchdown run in the fourth. Tom Stacey looking very mortal again. 30 for 52, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the interception.
The problem with New Mexico compared to this year, compared to last year, I think is I don't think they run the ball nearly as well. They only got 62 rushing yards.
It's slightly over 4 yards to carry, so not.
Oh yeah, but I mean they're not running it as much. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
most UBs.
With that said, New Mexico is still doing much better than what they are on paper. So I'll give DML one that much.
Most QBs can't handle passing 50 times a game without some kind of struggle.
Well, your QBs did, James Dale and Luke Williams, so.
Yeah, but they were good.
Yeah, Tom Stacey's. I'm going to keep repeating this. Tom Stacey's not a good quarterback.
He's one of those quarterbacks who are on paper bad, but can be okay just because it's New Mexico, sort of kind of thing. What I really think is New Mexico is strong safety Jeremy Joseph. He's like a 4-5 strong safety. I think he was a JUCO guy. I think he's really anchored New Mexico the past couple of years.
Well, he was silent in this one. New Mexico.
Oh yeah.
From Los Lobos' defensive standpoint, Kahal Pasala was the big man today. Harris Saxon, Jabari Sneed, but Bobby Griggs of the Broncos returned those sacks to Tom Stacey.
Yeah, I think Boise State really justified getting votes in this one.
Put them under scrutiny and they perform. Very impressive performance there. All right, so I'm going to start with you here, Jumbo. Who are you going to give your helmet sticker to?
I'm going to give it to Raheem Robinson, just because I like Raheem, and 11 receptions, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very impressive performance.
I agree wholeheartedly. Showing up in the little games. Hey, Pat stats. All right, Evan?
Noel Minor. He had 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to try to pick him every week, but yeah, Noel Minor playing a major role in UNLV's offense so far. I'm going to go with Mamadou Win, bouncing back from the rough performance against the Sooners to steamroll this Thundering Herd defense. 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. He is a heart and soul of Buffalo's offense, and he showed it today. All right, so let's take a little look ahead now to the evening games. We've got a fantastic slate tonight, and let's take a look at a big ranked matchup between the Buckeyes of Ohio State and the Trojans of Southern Cal. Jumbo, what are your thoughts here?
Well, formerly it was the rivalry of brothers, but I guess that's not true anymore. I kind of like USC here. I know they're a bit unproven. A lot of people really don't like them for where they're ranked, but they're a very talented team, and I think they're going to show it this week against Ohio State. I think Ohio State's a bit vulnerable coming off that loss last week, and I think they might be a little off their game, and so having to travel to a top 10 team might throw them off.
Interesting. A quick note: the game is in Denver. Did I write that
I
did.
Sorry, it wasn't. I read that improperly. Well, they still have to travel further than USC does.
Yeah. I'm interested to know if can USC pass on Blake Turner and this Buckeyes defense? because they have the talent, but Blake Turner has been fantastic so far.
Blake Turner is very good, but he's only one guy. He can only get down receiver, and USC has multiple good receivers, I think,
Yes, yes.
for sure. So I think they can overcome it. Plus, they've got a pretty damn good run game.
I'm probably I'll take USC. I don't know. Even though I'm a little suspicious of Ohio State after they lost to Penn State.
Well, Penn State's not a bad team at all, and that game was in the game was in Columbus, so never mind that part. But yeah, Ohio State's going to rely on Moose Gooden tonight. Albright, with his lack of receivers, came back to bite him against the Nittany Lions. Moose Good has to get his team back on track, and if he can do that against Southern Cal, well, I'd give them a solid chance of winning. All right. Also tonight we have another ranked showdown with the Hawkeyes of Iowa taking on the Sooners of Oklahoma. Evan, what are your thoughts here?
I think I'm gonna take Oklahoma. I don't know too much about Iowa. I know they have a new 2-0, I think they have a new 3-0, 5-0 QB, but I don't know. I think Oklahoma will win. Just based on what little I know about Iowa.
Yeah,
I would have to agree. And it's not for any particularly rational reason. It's just that I was ranked in week 1 and Oklahoma beat me on the road, which therefore means they're going to win all of their games this year. It happened 2 years ago, it happened last year, and therefore it will happen this year. They're going to go to the playoffs.
2-0 right now. Graham Burnett has blown away any doubts so far. Maurice White, freshman, can get going tonight. But I'm interested to see how this defense holds up against Jeremiah Newton. The Iowa running back has looked great against the likes of Fresno and Boston College. But will he be able to run against David Jackson, Ernie Crawford, and this Oklahoma front seven? It's going to be a very intriguing one, to say the least.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma's front seven's a bit vulnerable to the run game, and Iowa has a very good offensive line and 2 players who can really run the ball. So the potential for an upset is there.
Oh, without a doubt. Where? Yeah, the fact that Ted's playing Colin Ball, a 3 of 3 inside linebacker at the right outside linebacker position, shows that we're a little weak on the flanks. So if Newton can get by Thomas Goss and Russell Greer, Sooners could be in for a long day. Taking a look now at Piscataway, New Jersey, the number 1 team in the land, Alabama, taking on Rutgers. This game last year was really close, with Rutgers losing just by a field goal. With the game in Piscataway this year, do you guys give Rutgers any chance of winning?
I think they have a chance.
I expect Alabama to win. Rutgers has a chance if Benjamin Franklin and Moffitt can play like he did last year against Alabama.
The only reason I say they have a chance is because this game is at home. That said, Moffitt to Franklin will have to overcome that Alabama defense and basically them alone. And their offensive line is not good at all, so Moffitt will not have much time.
I keep pointing out the game last year because Moffitt did not look bad against that secondary, and he did not have a receiver like Benjamin Franklin. So he's got a target this year. He could potentially look better than he did last year, and with the game at home, I give him a solid chance. This game could be a lot closer than you'd expect. Right.
Yeah, the only thing about Alabama is they're just so talented everywhere. It's really hard to project them to lose any single game.
Oh, easily. That was the case last year. Just there are very, very few holes, and exposing them is nearly impossible.
So like, I don't
But-
think Alabama in real life, unfortunately.
But it is an odd year, and Alabama's much better in even years. Therefore, Rutgers can win.
Interesting note there. If I had to give Rutgers a % chance to win, I'd give them, we'll say 30. 70-30 in favor of Bama.
I think that's a little too high.
I don't know.
I give him like a 20% chance.
Yeah, I'd say like 15 to 20%.
Iowa State coming off a loss to Oregon. Pacheco looking mortal for once. They'll be taking on Kansas in Ames. And what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Kansas, I think, pulls it off. Iowa State didn't look too good last week. And Kansas so far hasn't really shown any signs of weakness. Maybe this is the year where Kansas actually gets it together and has like an amazing season.
Storm's been pointing out that Kansas has never lost to Iowa State. It was close last year. It was. But Pacheco struggles against the Jayhawks normally. Part of the reason Iowa State lost last week was because of a lights-out defensive performance from the Ducks. Kansas doesn't have that kind of explosive firepower, so Pacheco may or may not be able to return to normalcy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Kansas's defense isn't too great. Like, I think there's definitely the potential for Pacheco to have a good game. But it depends on that offensive line, and I don't think Iowa State's offensive line has enough talent to like make it an obvious dominant performance for Pacheco.
I know they have a 5-0-5-0 on that line.
Right, but it's only one player. You have to have more than that to make it an obvious dominant performance. Like, the offensive line is good, but it's not that good. And then with Wilcox and Oldham as threats, you can't only sell out on the run against Iowa State and expect to shut them out.
Oh yeah, the Wilcox-Oldham duo doesn't get nearly as much love. So we could see them thrive tonight. Finally found it. Okay. We got a 5-0 and 2 4.5s, or 4.5s. So it's not a bad line at all.
Not bad, just that it's not dominant.
Not dominant enough, which kind of speaks to Pacheco. But yeah, this one's going to be a tight one in Ames. May just come down to which offense can move the ball more against the defense, or against a weaker defense. One game that's not getting nearly as much attention, I'd say, is Clemson at TCU. The Horned Frogs 0-2, but Clemson's offense has not looked great in games against BYU and.
But TCU doesn't have much of an offense, even though they put 27 on Texas, and Clemson has two Marquises.
Yeah, both Clemson and TCU have really good defenses. Clemson in particular, with a secondary that is quite arguably one of the best in the nation, and that's with freshman Marquise Holiday. But both offenses are going to struggle in this one. If Jamel Armstrong can finally get Josiah McCray and Marquise Reed going, maybe this game isn't close. But if TCU can keep this close, they have a solid chance of winning in Fort Worth.
With the way TCU's offense has looked, I don't know. They put points up against Texas, but Texas has really declined in terms of talent. I mean, TCU's number one receiver is a tight end. Like, they're they're just not looking too hot on offense right now. And Clemson's defense is solid enough that I don't think TCU poses too much of a threat.
Over under real quick. Combined score is it over or under 35 points?
Over under what?
35 points.
35? Under for sure.
For sure.
I could see this ending like 20-3.
I was going to go more along the lines of like 16-10, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 16-9.
Yeah, like Clemson's offense is talented, but like they're definitely stoppable, and I think TCU has the talent to stop them, at least somewhat.
Alright, a game where offense is not going to be a premium. Arkansas going to Waco to take on Baylor. Sean Bell and Sean Sitton squaring off with the Bears looking to jump to 3-0. What are you guys' thoughts here?
I like Baylor in this one. I think it's relatively clear. Arkansas, as they have and seem to always will, likes to pass the ball. And Baylor definitely has the secondary to do it. Kyle Cunningham is a very solid corner, and they've got two good safeties. So I think it'll be tougher than the Arkansas offense wants to move the ball.
Tyron Chambers against Kyle Cunningham is going to be the premier match to look for with this Arkansas offense. If Sitton can get the ball to Chambers and pass Cunningham, I give him a solid chance, but I don't know if that defense has anything to stop Sean Bell. So I definitely favor Baylor in this one, but this could be a high-scoring affair. Alright. So let's go and look at a couple players to watch for throughout the day, including the morning and afternoon games, since we have those up. Let's start with Evan here.
So which game are you talking about? I got distracted for a minute.
Just any of the games that will be played today. What are a couple players you have your eyes on?
Eric Blakely of Wisconsin, and who else? I'm just gonna pick Devon Conway of Colorado State. There we go. Those are two players.
Yeah, Blakely and the Badgers taking on Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton. Should be a fairly straightforward game there. Under Blakely of 2 picks. We'll see. For Conroy and the Rams, they're going to
face their rival Air Force.
Yeah, Colorado Springs take on the Falcons, who are ranked, and that game's kind of intriguing to me because I really don't know what to expect from Air Force. We saw them in one game against Navy, who is remarkably bad. And let's see what they can do against a higher class offense. What do you have today? Where's Jumbo?
The Conroy Convoy is a hype train I will never understand. I don't know.
I think Storm Stopper built the train.
Right. I mean,
he's a fun player to watch.
He's not awful, but he's just I don't see anything special out of him. And I think Air Force wins this game relatively easily. It's not going to be a blowout. They've got a good enough secondary, and Colorado State doesn't have the receivers to exploit it, or even to put up a good matchup against them. I don't think this one is too close. I think Air Force runs away with it.
Literally or metaphorically? Because I know they have a really good ground game.
Both.
Xavier Valentine and Nico Kaufman looked fantastic against Navy. Granted, it is Navy, but I don't think Colorado State has depth on the ground to match up to it. Clem, you're around.
Yes.
Yes. welcome to the show again. Let's start. You have a couple players to watch for today.
Good question. I'm trying to get the prep sheet to load fully, and it's not. So I don't know who's playing. So
I
can't
haven't
see that part of the
I haven't
screen.
even looked at the prep sheet once today.
I got you. Don't say that. Don't give him that hint.
Yeah. Don't tell people we're not preparing.
We're obviously fair. Here, let me put in
I'm trying to, I just want to be honest.
the games in the Discord chat. If you can load that.
CCU playing today?
Yes, and they're gonna lose.
Who are they playing?
Clemson.
And I'm going to put my player to watch, Marquise Reed. I think he's going to be all over the field. I think he's going to pick off Nathan Burden once. Probably take another one back to the house. Get a couple catches here and there. It's going to be all over the place.
For me, first one I want to point out is Evan Grant of Georgia State, going up against a Duke front seven that made middle minor look good in the first game. Didn't go enough to really stop Elijah Humphreys in the second one. Both of them were Blue Devils wins, but Evan Grant is a different breed. So if he can get it going, Georgia State might be able to pull off a win here. Another guy I'd look at. Gotta find him. Where'd you go?
I'll give one to look at for now.
Terrence Rogers of Mississippi State going up against the Aggies in the conference and division matchup. Could very well break 120 in this one, I think. He did well against Florida State. Even better last week. Mississippi State's a good team. I think he's going to have himself a day against the Aggies.
So I just want to say something real quick. I just realized I have a game today. So it's not going to go well.
Did you forget?
Because I looked earlier this week, and I swore I saw myself in the buys. So I didn't game plan or even look at it. And I just looked and saw it in this prep. So I had the wrong game.
To be fair, I forgot you were playing as well.
Well, I'm not playing,
That's the thing.
which is good since gives me one less game to lose.
Alright, I'm going to give a player to watch. I'm going to go J.J. Robinson of Temple.
I still don't like him that much.
I'm interested to hear.
I don't like him.
Explain this.
I don't like him that much. I'm not saying he's that good. But when Temple played Minnesota earlier this year, he looked all right. And Ricky Lewis has historically struggled against like good teams and good defenses, and so I think he's going to be the one who needs to step it up if Temple wants to upset Oregon. Can he do it? I don't think there's a high probability of it, but I could see it happen.
With Alien, since Alien runs Temple, there's a chance. Temple, I feel like, has no, aside from Crawford, has like no elite players, but this is like an all-around good team.
Do you think Robinson?
Yeah, that Oregon defensive line is nuts, and so
Yeah, they have,
I don't see Ricky Lewis having success.
Defensive tackle that Dr. One until he realized he was a junior. I can't remember his name.
Right. So Robinson's going to have to get 7 yards through the air if Temple wants to have a chance of winning.
I mean, Oregon has that great defensive line, but the back seven there is not anything special. So, I mean, just about getting the ball out quickly, I think you can kind of minimize the effect of that defensive line, which, I mean, Temple should be able to do that, hopefully. Run some slants here and there.
It's basically you're basically trusting J.J. Robinson to put up a game for the air, and I don't know if he's capable of doing that. Conclude that. Let's head over to the morning games. We've got a few of those. I've already talked about Georgia State here. Evan Grant potentially going rush against the Blue Devils. One game in particular I'd keep note of is Virginia Tech, North Carolina. It was a good game last year. Virginia Tech is worlds better.
And North Carolina's worse.
Oh yeah, North Carolina's not great. Matthew Dobbs, player to watch here, gives the Hokies a wonderful chance of pulling off a win in Chapel Hill. What do you guys thought here?
I don't think it's a close game. I think Virginia Tech wins by 2 touchdowns or more.
Yeah, I can't see UNC winning with their coach half inactive.
And Max Loss is the quarterback still.
Oh yeah, Max Laws at quarterback is not a good.
Oh, Max Law. Yes, actually.
Logan Pruitt though. Think Virginia Tech can stop him? And
I don't think it really matters because they're not going to be able to throw the ball, so they're going to load the box up with 8 or 9 guys and sell out for the run and still be fine.
Right. One game that I'm confused as to why it's in this morning slot and not in the evening games is Arizona State and Penn State in Happy Valley. Arizona State out to a 2-0 start, and the Lions out there as well with the win over Ohio State. But this is not a bad Arizona State team, so do you give them a fighting chance against the Nittany Lions?
Oh, time out. What are you doing? You up?
What?
It's a game, I think.
Oh. I think Arizona State has a chance just because it is a football game and anything can happen. I still think Penn State's a much better team. I think Arizona State will throw John Miller out of quarterback. He's a scrambler, so anytime you have a guy who can run the ball around at quarterback, you can keep the defense off balance and kind of give your offense a chance to move the ball. That's really the only chance is for John Miller to play great.
Yeah,
I just don't see it happening. Brady's an average enough coach that it can make it happen.
Yeah, Miller's got to play. Miller's got to play the game of his life. He's got a couple of really nice targets in Arturo Beckham and Daniel Marshall, but this is not a bad Penn State secondary. So you've got a nice balance of Charles Parker, and again, for a nice receiving core, but it's a really strong Penn State defense. You're going to have to be fantastic in this one, and I just don't see that coming.
Why were we all muted? Jumbo.
Why? Okay, that was weird.
Come on, Jumbo. You can mute Gravy, but you're not allowed to mute anyone else.
Why?
I mean, to be fair,
I don't know why.
hashtag fire Jumbo.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard anything from the.
Alright, where were we? I've gotten so
What
distracted.
happened?
Latavius Murray versus Gabriel Shields, Dexter's former team against his current team.
Oh, alright.
Interesting matchup in Kalamazoo. I give the Broncos a fighting chance here.
Well, yeah, Colorado lost a ton. And if you look at their team, they're not very good. But Western Michigan still plays in the MAC, so they're not very good either. So it could be a shootout. It could be a 3-0 game. I have no idea what to expect out of that game at all.
I've got a good idea. Just from watching Western Michigan against Miami, Ohio, and Arkansas. Neither of them have a great defense, but Colorado doesn't have a great defense either. And Gabriel Shields had multiple touchdowns in both those games and broke 120 in both, if I'm not mistaken. He is a stud of a running back. The question is if Murray can match him throughout the day. Alright, anything else you guys want to look at in these morning games? There's a few good ones and not great ones. I know you have Purdue, Notre Dame, and South Bend, which could be interesting. But Notre Dame is
I don't think so. I think that's Purdue's game, and that's all that's going to happen.
Notre Dame has looked unimpressive against Boston College and Pittsburgh.
I mean,
Purdue is ahead of both of those teams.
Kentucky,
So-
Minnesota, but I mean, Minnesota's gonna win, even though Kentucky's 2-0.
Wait, where's that game?
North
Oh.
Texas, Michigan could be interesting. Mean Green upset.
Wait. There was somebody on Texas that I had my eye on. I just can't remember who it was.
Probably the quarterback, Kamari Terry.
Probably right. Yeah, Kamari Terry, 3 of 4.5 scrambler. He's got a pretty tough defense to go up against. Zion Hopkins leading the defensive line. Margin to victory here. Over, under 40.
Over.
Over.
Okay. I'll say over slightly. All right. So let's talk a bit about our game of the week here in Knoxville. Undefeated Bulldogs, undefeated Volunteers. A couple things I noted. You got 2 fantastic defensive line players for both teams. Bulldogs.
Anthony Miller, obviously.
Yeah, Anthony Miller for the Volunteers, and preseason All-American Nigel McKinney for the Bulldogs. Running is going to be tough, to say the least.
And both teams like to run, so we could see a very ugly game.
I know a little bit about Tennessee because I played them last week and I lost by 28. So, I mean Tennessee's defense is really good. And they'll probably win because of that. Even though Georgia's pretty good too, but Tennessee's defense and Julius Thomas has gotten a little bit better the past year and a half. He used to be kind of bad, but now he's just alright-ish.
Containing McKinney and Miller is going to be keys in this game. For Georgia, they just have to stall long enough for Isaac Wilson and that power game to get going. For Volunteers, give Thomas some time to get to the outside, out of the pocket, make some plays. But Nigel McKinney is going to be rushing him and rushing him hard. If Thomas is going to pass it, he's got to worry about the likes of Jose Leon and in that Georgia secondary, which outside of Leon isn't impressive, but it's still pretty decent. But the key in this game is going to be the trenches. They've got both teams have solid O-lines. For Georgia, it's that ground and pound. For Tennessee, it's just giving Thomas time to work. Winner in the trenches could very well win this game. What do you think of the quarterback matchup here? Does Salvatore Tanner perform well in this one? Because I feel like he has to make plays if Georgia's to win this game.
I mean, has he ever really played well? He's kind of an average quarterback from what I've seen. He's really more of kind of a game manager in a scrambler's body, I think. So there's really not much he's ever been asked to do. So I don't know if he can do it.
I don't even know if I'd call him a game manager. He's just kind of there. He's been their QB. I think this is like his 3rd season being their QB. But I don't think he's ever done anything of note.
No.
He's been.
But
yeah.
that said, Salvatore Tanner on Georgia, I don't think is any better and may in fact be worse.
I mean,
He has to look good, at least. He can't be average. Because I don't think Georgia can win this game through Isaac Wilson.
Yeah, but if they can't win it through Wilson, I don't see how they can win it through their QB either.
Well, I mean, you can't rely solo on Wilson.
Well, that's what Georgia's always done, though. They've always been a ground and pound team, especially the last 2 or 3 seasons. So I don't know if they really have the players around Tanner to air it out or maybe go a little more pistol, go a little spread. They've always been a power team, so I don't know if they have the ability to not do that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clearly likely to be a win for Tennessee. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't see much of a way that Georgia wins this. Like, I don't see them having an advantage in any given area.
As I said, I think Tennessee's defense is just too good.
I think the only way Georgia has to win the game is if Julius Thomas gets a turnover bug, which is always possible.
Yeah.
But I think this year he's getting a little better at that and it's not turning the ball over a lot. So that's really the only chance.
If this was a home game for Georgia, I feel like there'd be a better chance.
Oh, without a doubt. That's the case in most of these games in the SEC. But yeah, Julius Thomas has done good keeping the ball in his team's hands. At the same time, Georgia is a far better defense than Memphis. Who else has Tennessee played? Memphis, South Florida, and Arizona. And I'll note that Tennessee didn't look that impressive against the Wildcats. So there's always hope here that Georgia can force a few plays on Thomas. But it's going to be a fun to watch. Which player has more of an impact? Nigel McKinney or Anthony Miller?
Who are Anthony Miller? Yeah,
I'm thinking
Anthony
McKinney.
Miller, I'd assume.
I'm thinking McKinney just because both these teams are running teams, and so clogging up the middle would have more of an impact than someone off the edge.
I agree with Jumbo and McKinney.
Nikita Crow's running back for Volunteers. Is he speed or power? I can't recall.
No idea.
Not sure, but
I'm going to pull it up real quick.
I don't think Anthony Miller will have much of an impact on this game because I think Georgia will run more because they're probably scared of Miller.
Yeah, I'd say that. Nikita Crow is a power back, so right into the wheelhouse of McKinney here. Alright. Got a few afternoon games to look at here. I know Evan took a note of Kentucky and Minnesota, if he wants to talk about that a little more. Or not. There you go. Or not.
Okay. That's not really an interesting game to me at all. I don't think Kentucky has any near the talent Minnesota does. I don't think they'll really hang on.
Yeah.
They might hang on in the first half, but second half, Minnesota's going to blow that game open, I think.
Yeah, Minnesota's always kind of in this range at the beginning of the season, and then they hit Big 12 play, and then I feel like they lose a game or two and kind of just fall off the map.
I mean, last year, that was kind of the case, except they
won the division, the Big Ten West.
got big
Right.
wins with Purdue and Wisconsin, and were able to get into the championship game. This one shouldn't be any problem for the Gophers here. Kentucky at 2-0, yeah, that's good, but going up against Minnesota is a lot different than going up against Houston and Cincinnati, two teams that are really not good this year. So that's a huge jump in competition. I think we'll see a lot of flaws in Kentucky this game. It might not be close in the second half. One game that I have my eye on, and it's not as flattering on paper as it is in play, is Stanford at Arizona. Two teams without a win. Arizona 0-3, but with a really good defense. One of these teams has to break out of a slump, and I'm willing to bet it's Arizona here.
Probably is. I don't know. I don't know much about Stanford. It's probably a bad.
Stanford. The only reason Stanford could win is because of Arizona's coach not being particularly active due to personal issues, and Stanford having an active coach.
Yeah, Stanford doesn't have an offensive line, though, so that's a huge negative for them.
Yeah, they've got the line to give Garland time in the back. And that could very well come into play here.
I think they're starting like two true freshmen who are like one skilled overall right now, so they're in a rough spot. The previous coach did not do a good job of recruiting.
Yeah, talent-wise, it doesn't look too good for Stanford. but if they can formulate the right game plan, it could be an upset.
Inconsistent quarterback play is probably favoring Stanford here, because between the two quarterbacks that Arizona has started, Henry Crane and Sam Parrish, Stanford might be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, neither have been really good at any one part of playing a quarterback, so I don't think either of those two guys are really a threat to any team long term in the game.
Stanford's a little easier than the likes of Ohio State, Tennessee, and Texas Tech, yeah, but I don't know. Stanford's not going to be a pushover in this one. We talked a little bit about Colorado State and Air Force.
Michigan State plays Rice, but that won't be close. Texas A&M and Mississippi State we haven't talked about, but I think Mississippi State wins that one.
The Terrence Rogers guys. Know the name. I'm saying 120 plus. LSU looked really shaky against Missouri last week. They'll return home to Death Valley against an Army team coming off a clobbering of Florida State 2 weeks ago, not last week. But Caleb Leggett, not the worst cornerback to come into Death Valley. Caleb Leggett and DeMar Hurt-Braxton can get something going on the ground, which is entirely possible.
I don't think so. I think LSU runs away with this game by a good 10, 15 points.
LSU's cornerbacks are just too good, I think.
Yeah, Army does not really have the talent to compete, period. End of story, done.
Oh, yeah. Alright, speaking of which, SMU plays Tulsa. I mean, with Tulsa coached by a human, I would not expect too much out of Tulsa. And Andre Webb, Kevin Muse, Dean Barquette, and that strong safety on SMU's team, I can't remember. They're just too good. And I think SMU will beat Tulsa handedly.
How good is SMU's rush defense?
Defensively, they're kind of shaky.
They have a good shot. They have good safeties.
Good safeties, but Victor Cozart. I brought him up when he had that 4-touchdown game. The best they'll have to deal with him is really Omar Callaway in the linebacking core. Maybe Arthur Ireland at defensive tackle. Cozart could have himself a game here, and that could bring Tulsa into this.
Well, especially running the game,
SMU,
ball possession. That can, especially against a team like SMU that is going to pass more than they run. Maintaining possession.
SMU's been pretty balanced. And secondly, Victor Colbert's a 3.54, but I mean, Michael Forbes a 3.0, so I would not expect too much out of him. I think SMU's secondary is decent enough that he'll have a rough game. And I think Andre Webb, unless he has an oddly bad game, will probably. Unless Andre Webb has a bad game, I can't see SMU losing this. I hope SMU
I agree.
Nice stats, so I can at least have someone to give notable to give the AAC Player of the Week to. So.
Hey, Evan. Time didn't really game plan for this game. Just to let you know, he's just said that. So might be buying into Tulsa here.
Wait, who did it played? Louisiana.
Yeah, but
who did SMU play last week?
UTEP, I think.
Alright, so I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what someone would game plan for a CUS 18. So.
There's one performance in particular I gotta take a note of.
Then again, if he sticks to whatever route he was running, maybe that would work. So.
Right here? Yeah, right here. At home against UTEP, they allowed 85 yards to Justin Barksdale, so they might be able to contain Cozart, maybe. It's going to be a fun game in Tulsa. maybe an upset.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I wouldn't get my hopes up. But Tulsa's put off surprises before.
Any more games in the afternoon section you guys want to look at?
Virginia and Ole Miss.
I was waiting for someone to bring it up.
I wanted to.
This is going to destroy the Virginia Cavaliers, who did not game plan for this game.
Yeah, that's the reason I wanted to avoid it, because I don't know how it's going to fare without a game plan.
Well, there is a game plan in. I just didn't change it last week. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but Texas A&M and Ole Miss run kind of different offenses, and that's mostly what I'm concerned about.
Yeah. Let me find it because I didn't really have a chance to put on the prep sheet. All right, yeah, Ole Miss, definitely more of a pass-happy team. Scrambler, Marquise Laws.
You mean run happy?
Yeah, it's an Ole Miss run heavy.
I mean, with a 2-3 power back, I don't know.
Dude, hold on. Let me look at this. Let me look at the depth chart.
It's not very good. They're not a very good team.
It's okay. If they have a quarterback with a last name Laws, so you might be fine.
Yeah.
Well, Max Laws isn't good. He has the last name of Laws. So. That said, there's a lot of players in this sim named Marquise, and they all seem to be pretty good. So.
Marquise Simpkins?
Also, if you see a running back named Marshawn, go for them.
What's up?
Come again, Jumbo?
If you see a running back named Marshawn, you should go for them.
Oh yeah. Marshawn, Mill and Marshawn made the sim.
Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, but I don't think this is real life, unfortunately. These players are fake and don't actually exist.
It's real to me, damn it.
Yeah, how dare you?
It up. It's so funny. So funny every time I be sarcastic about it, especially like before the draft. It's so funny. I remind everyone that these players are fake.
With the game in Oxford, Ole Miss has a pretty good chance of this one, but I still got to favor the Cavs here. There's just not a lot of great talent on that Mississippi roster. I mean, Laws is good. I know they have a really nice inside linebacker.
Yeah, they had that really good linebacker that got raw. What's his name? Marquise Golden.
Marcus Golden.
Marcus Golden, yes.
I gotta give the Cavs the edge here, maybe. All right. Wow, we still have an hour left, but we still got a lot more to talk about. All right. So we actually have time to talk about potential upsets now. So starting with Clem, give me one game where you're calling the upset.
Oh, jeez, let me look.
What team is on upset alert tonight or today?
The Nebraska Cornhuskers have to travel to Muncie, Indiana, take on the Ball State Cardinals. Nebraska will lose 42-38 in overtime. I'm calling it now. Go Cards.
That's not even a possible score in overtime. But yeah.
You know, I don't even care. I'm fine, 41-38. Ugh. Let's make it realistic here.
It's possible if Nebraska wants to lose the game. Ball State scores a touchdown, they just kick a field goal. But come on.
Of course.
I do like Ball State though. Austin Laws is a really good running back. He's filling in nicely for Norris Horton. It's just inconsistency at the quarterback position could cost them here, and I don't know if they have anything at all to stop Sean Hamilton or what's his name at running back?
Marcus Williams.
Move on over to Jumbo. Who do you have on upset alert here?
I'm going Kansas on upset alert. I don't think it's super likely, but I think of the games this week, it is the most likely for a potential upset. It's a conference game. As Storm keeps repeating, Iowa State's never beaten them, so they might be even more motivated to go out and finally get over that record.
They're kind of embarrassed coming off the loss last week, so they might want to avenge that. And I think the Stars kind of line up. It's a home game, so I think it's definitely possible that Iowa State wins.
I kind of agree here. Pacheco has never beaten Kansas, so that's something he really wants to accomplish. But again, everything's lined up right. This could go Iowa State's way, and it's a key game in the division. Evan, who do you have?
Probably Iowa over Oklahoma if I had to pick a game.
A little more in depth. How so? What you got? Okay. Yeah, Jeremiah Newton could have himself a good game against the Sooners. He looked semi-impressive against Boston College. Did his part against Fresno State. I think inconsistently, I just keep repeating this phrase, but it's kind of true in a lot of cases. Michael Black, young, fresh, but raw, and inconsistent. Whereas Oklahoma is a lot more solid on offense. Maurice White could play the game, could be a big role for Oklahoma, but Iowa definitely has a chance here. I have two that I really want to go for. I want to cheat here and say Clemson first. I think TCU's defense is going to keep them in this game. It's just a matter of if the offense can finally do something. But if it's close, I have Clemson on upset alert. And the other one is in Piscataway. I have Bama on upset alert.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying this game's going to be close again. It was 3 points last year in Tuscaloosa. Elijah Moffitt actually is a receiver this year, something they didn't have when he took on the Tide last year.
Wait, was Benjamin Franklin a JUCO?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
next.
He was also one of the founding fathers.
Oh, I guess. Well,
I gotta find it because this game last year was 27-24. I recall that.
I think it was like 26-23, wasn't it?
I thought it was like 30.
It might have been that.
I
It might have been
can't
that.
remember.
It was an odd sport.
Is it a morning game?
But about the Clemson TCU's defense has not really played up to its hype level so far. I mean, they gave up, 30 points to Texas last week. I think that's really concerning because Texas doesn't have much of an offense right now outside of Simeon Wells. So, I mean, I don't know that their defense is really all that good based on what way they played this season. So I don't know if TCU's defense is really the key to the game. I think the key to that game is Nathan Burden not turning the ball over.
Yeah, and that's something he's prone to doing. Going back to the Rutgers-Bama game. It was 26-23 last year. Profit went 26-47, 289 yards and 2 touchdowns without interception. They did not turn the ball over once. And that Alabama team has lost Nathan Wilson, Erasmus High, Jeffrey Chung, Tom Reese, among others. All of them played a role in that game. Again, Elijah Moffitt without a star receiver from last year. He's got one this year. I think this one could be close, especially with the game at home. So we're about at that time where we can start looking at some Heisman candidates. Talked a bit about this last week, but it's becoming more and more evident now. So, without stats yet, who do you guys feel should be in this conversation for football's most prestigious award?
I'll take the lead here. I think right now my top three are probably Pacheco, Elijah Harden, and then Brett Fisher so far. Are probably my top three.
Why Brett Fisher, out of curiosity?
I know Miami hasn't really played anyone good, and they haven't really played well, but I think Fisher has a good combination of passing skill and running skill, and will put the stats up to kind of fool people into thinking that he's a really good player, and he is. But I think he'll make himself seem like a more important player than he really is by his stats.
So far, he's had to carry the load for the Canes with Richard Holt on the ground. Yeah, running the ball, he's been fantastic. Both he and Holt were beyond unstoppable against Terps, even in a loss. It's just without that passing aspect, which he's looked decent but not great in the air right now with the lack of receivers.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely hurting him.
Yeah, it's definitely hurting him. He's by far the best player on his team, which is kind of one of the requirements of the Heisman, I believe. If he can get stuff going in the air, I give him a solid chance to be in New York. I don't think there's any doubt about Pacheco or Harden, to be honest. Harden's been phenomenal so far, and you can't stop him because you also have to account for Benjamin Schuller and Luke Cobb.
And the passing game in Tallahassee's kind of taken a step back, just not because of any skill, but because of the way Harden has played. He's going to really elevate his play and force the coaches to hand the ball off more than maybe they would have wanted to beginning of the season. So I think we've seen a decline in Schuller's importance in the game.
Yeah, he's kind of taking a backseat to Harden, but he's still just as deadly, I'd say. Evan, if you had to choose a top player, it looks like
Patel, Moffitt, and Sean Bell.
Sean Bell's kind of a dark horse. He's carrying the Baylor offense. He's got some nice pieces around him. And he's looked good so far against both Auburn and Florida. And that could very well continue against Arkansas. I feel he was a little disrespected last year and not getting much attention, but he'll get it this year. Jumbo?
I'll throw in Brett Fisher into the conversation. He's had a good year so far. Although Miami's team isn't that good, he's looked pretty good. Outside of that, Marquise Reed's hype kind of died down at this point. I honestly can't think of too many. Even like all the teams, they don't have that one star player. Like I don't think any of the top teams in the country right now have that one standout guy. So it's very tough to predict.
Nebraska's had two, Sean Hamilton and Marcus Williams, that both had very good seasons so far. So I think those guys should both be dark horses at this point in the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Both of them have a solid chance. I'm surprised none of you have mentioned Raheem.
I don't know. The only time a wide receiver has become anywhere close to winning Heisman was Son Jenkins, and he didn't win it. So
I think Raheem has the best chance of receiver to win it so far.
Yeah.
But I still don't know. You know, it's early on in their season. We'll see how they perform the rest of the way. And I don't know if he's going to be good enough to help the team get that team to 8 or 9 wins, which is where I think he needs to get them to really be a candidate.
He's kind of in a Brett Fisher situation in which there's not much talent around him. He does have a quarterback this year, which I have to stress that because those numbers could skyrocket from last year. Could.
I mean, he could probably break some receiving records this season. I don't think anyone would be all that surprised about it.
yeah, and Stone Stopper was knowing last night in the mailbox.
He'll have a good chance, I think. But that depends on kind of the play of some other guys. Guys like Moffitt and Fisher, Pacheco, Sean Bell. There's one more guy I want to look at. I just can't remember who it was. God. Who's my dark horse here?
I don't think this year we'll see a non-quarterback win it.
You think it's going to be a quarterback?
A non-quarterback.
Oh, a non-quarterback, okay.
Because as far as I can tell, quarterbacks really aren't having a great season so far. So I don't know. It seems like running backs have all the momentum right now.
I feel like the only quarterback that has had a really good start of the year is Ryan Harris out of Fresno. But I don't think there's any way he gets into the conversation.
Yeah, playing in that conference, it's hard to justify it. Sure, you may put
I
up.
think if there's any year we see a defensive player win it, it might be this year. If someone like a Keelan Morris keeps having really good games, could happen.
I don't know why I can't remember who I had for the life of me. Because I was... Oh, duh. We might see a little more of Dylan Bishop down the line.
That's true. If he keeps playing at this rate and continues to play into ACC play, then we could see some Dylan Bishop Heisman hype.
I'm gonna be the guy that starts it here. Against a pretty decent Utah defense, he accounted for 4 touchdowns. Oh, all 4 of Syracuse touchdowns. Had 1 interception. That kind of sucks. But 300 yards in the air, 60 on the ground, 4 touchdowns, leads Syracuse to a 3rd win of the season. Syracuse is looking good, and he's kind of a man behind it. So if he can keep it up against the likes of, if he can perform anywhere near this level against Clemson, Boston College, and Florida State, all of which he has to play, we could very well see him in New York. Right. Last thing before we take a look at the picks, I see Clem working on it. Little playoff outlook. Forgot about last week. Things have changed, of course. Had likes of Oregon beating Iowa State. Never too early to speculate about playoffs. So,
I don't think we'll see any G5 teams make it, I'll say that, but...
No.
No. Even if one of them goes undefeated, I don't know.
The only team that might have a chance would be SMU.
I don't know. I think they'll blow it at least once.
I disagree here. I don't think SMU is the only team with a chance.
Well, right now they're only
G5
team ranked.
Well,
that's important.
Nevada.
Air Force could if they win out. Sure.
Nevada. Sorry.
Air Force and UNI, I don't think we'll undefeated either. Well, obviously both can't go undefeated, but I don't think we're gonna see any G5 team go undefeated. Anyway,
I feel like if the G5...
I wonder who makes it out of the Big Ten.
No, well, Big Ten's always a bloodbath. We don't know until like the last 2
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah.
Does anyone have any early bets?
Early bet, I'd say, boy. I want to say Michigan doesn't win it. I'm not buying Michigan, really.
I'd say like either Nebraska, Wisconsin, or Penn State. One of those 2 teams.
I was going to say Penn State and Nebraska could both make the playoff. Whoever makes it from the West, I'm sorry, whoever loses a Big Ten championship game will not make it, but someone else from that conference will. That's my prediction here.
And also, does anyone from the Pac-12 make it?
Yes.
From what?
I mean, USC could, for sure, and Oregon also could.
I got USC in at the 5th spot right now. I mean, they're the best team in the Pac-12. And if Dream, stays active this whole season, the coaches the whole season, I don't know that there's many teams in that Pac-12 that can really beat them, talent-wise. The only team that really could is Oregon. Yeah, and I don't know that they play in a regular season.
I have a schedule.
They play the championship game, though.
USC
Yeah.
play Oregon.
That would definitely, I think that championship game should definitely be a playoff spot game. There's only one of them's going to make it, I think.
Week 8, it's Southern Cal hosting the Ducks. I think that's a game we'll see twice this year. A repeat of the conference championship game from last year, except both teams will actually be really good instead of mediocre like last year. Or decent, I guess. As of right now, I don't see many changes from what we have in our top 8. I think both Florida State and Clemson can sneak in. I give the SEC 2 teams.
What about the SEC? I'd say Tennessee and maybe Alabama.
Yeah, I got both those teams in.
I think those are the only 2 teams from that conference that can make it. Maybe LSU if they get their stuff together, but
I think LSU is a bit overrated right now, so I don't think they're really all that good.
I agree. I don't think they're deserving of that top 15 spot.
And the SEC East outside Tennessee really isn't all that great right now.
Georgia could change that tonight, but we'll see. Big 12 is what I think is going to be really fun. Iowa State and Oklahoma all in that North Division, all vying for that spot in the Big 12 championship game.
I have a feeling Kansas will be the Big 12.
And I've just got a feeling Oklahoma's going to take it this year. There's something about Ted this year that I'm riding his coattails. So I'm going with
because he
Oklahoma
beat me on the road in week 1 while I was ranked. Therefore, he will be very good. It's profit.
I'm going to go over a bolder prediction here. The winner from Big 12 North will not win the Big 12 championship game. I think your champion lies with Baylor. I feel like they have the pieces to challenge Kansas, challenge Iowa State, and challenge Oklahoma.
That's true.
I don't have them in the top 8 yet, but 3 wins over 3 SEC teams is definitely a huge boost. And these are not bad SEC teams. Florida on the road, Auburn on the road, and Arkansas at home. Huge wins there.
Well, they haven't been Arkansas yet, so.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that. And we will get to see them in action against Kansas in week 10 in Lawrence. So that'll be interesting. That'll be fun to watch.
So the Big 12 might not be terrible this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be better than last year for sure. But there's 4 teams really that give a chance at making the playoffs. One of them has already suffered a loss. If they can rebound against Kansas today, I think Iowa State has a chance.
I think for Iowa State to make it back in there, they'd have to win the Big 12 championship game. Just because of the performance last season, I think that's going to give some voters kind of a pause, make them hesitate just a little bit to put them up that high at the end of the season.
Yeah, but to be fair, Alabama decimated everyone in the playoffs last year. It wasn't just them.
That's true.
Yeah, they eventually pulled away from BC in that that championship game. Yeah, I would say you have to win out. Fair to have a chance. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It helps if Oregon keeps winning, which I think they will. And wins over Kansas and Oklahoma will be a huge boost to the Cyclones. Also on that schedule, you have Minnesota in Week 8. They'll be on the road at TCU in Week 13 and hosting West Virginia in Week 14. So they have some good wins. They have good potential for wins. And if they can beat out Kansas, Minnesota, and Oklahoma, I don't think there's any chance they miss, unless they lose in the Big 12 championship game.
Well, if they get to the Big 12 championship game, they should probably be top 3 team.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Well,
so even if they lose that game close, they could still make the top 8.
Yeah, I agree. 2-loss Iowa State. Was Iowa State a 2-loss team last year going into the playoffs?
Yeah, they were 10-2.
Okay, so yeah, I give them a chance.
It could happen. Just because they get their 2 losses out of the way at the beginning of the year, it could happen again.
Well, that means they'd have to lose now or against Minnesota. I think Minnesota's too late in the season. So top 8. Let's do Jumbo first.
I've got Oregon, number 8.
Oregon number 8.
I think. The only reason I say that is because in a matchup of them versus USC, I think they match up well, and I think they'll finish at either 11-1 or 12-0 or whatever it is, like maximum 1 loss, maybe 2 losses. And I think if they win the Pac-12, they can sneak in. So I put them up there.
Yeah, I'll talk more about them in a bit. But got to pass it over to Clem now, who has an interesting pick at number 8, I'd say.
I got Penn State. I felt at this point they're a top 8 team. They do have Gravy as a coach, so you can always count on some mediocre loss to happen here or there. But I still think Penn State's got the talent to make the playoff. If they keep winning, I think they'll lose the Big Ten championship if they get to it. But I think they'll be high enough to still make the playoff.
My number 8 team at the moment is also from Big Ten. It is Nebraska. Sean Hamilton, Marcus Williams, doing what they should have been doing last year. They've got a couple solid wins so far. Tulsa's no easy feat, but they have the talent to win. They've got Purdue at home, and they've got Michigan at home, and Iowa. So if they can come out of those, they have a really good chance of making the playoffs. And I think they can win all of those. Important game to note, though, is on the road at Minnesota. I think that's what makes or breaks their chances.
Sorry, guys, I gotta run.
Oh yeah, you had to go like 2:30. All right, well, thanks, Jumbo, for coming along this show. Real quick, who do you have tonight? Georgia, Tennessee. Who do you have?
We say that one time?
Georgia, Tennessee. Who do you have? Gotta make the pick.
I gotta pick Tennessee. I don't see a way Georgia wins that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming along. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, Jabu.
And he is gone. All right,
Yep.
Clem, flipping over to your number 7, or does Evan have a number 8 yet?
Wait, my number 8 was Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I don't know about that. I'm feeling Wisconsin having a down year.
I don't know. Well, if it's not Wisconsin, it'll be some Big Ten West team.
Yeah, I can agree with that much, but Wisconsin without Sowell isn't going to be really great. Trufant is going to be a stud, but I think he's a year behind. All right, Clem, you're number 7.
I've got Oklahoma being the only team to make it out of the Big 12. I like what Ted can do as a coach. He's got some good talent around Graham Burnett this year. So I think that they'll lose a game at some point, but they'll still win the Big 12 and make the playoffs.
All right, yeah, that's a fair one. Oklahoma, potential loss could come on the road in Lawrence, I think. Maybe at home against Iowa State. My number 7, I have the Clemson Tigers. I think they'll have the benefit of not playing in the ACC championship game. I give that one to Florida State. I do think they can beat Boston College. They should handle the rest of their schedule, really. At Syracuse could be a tricky one. But if they can beat Florida State, then they'll be fine. They'll be a lot higher up. But for now, I see them losing that, benefiting from not having a chance to lose in the championship game. And they'll be in the playoffs. Evan?
I might go with Clemson too, assuming they lose to Florida State, of course. I don't think Boston College is honestly playoff worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Boston College is a fringe playoff. If a couple of things go their way late in the season, they can stick their way in. But I think right now they're just a step below Florida State and Clemson.
Just a bit. Randy Roberts, I don't think he's all that great, really. Hasn't looked it.
And I feel like they haven't given Zahir Watson, the JUCO running back, a real chance to kind of make his mark on the offense. So I think they've been a little unbalanced when they really shouldn't have been. I think they should get a little more balance here soon and kind of see if they can take some pressure off Randy Roberts.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like, Watts is a good running back, but they have to give him a shot. Don't let him become a Ben Curry.
Yeah. Although Ben Curry had his best game in the playoffs, so.
That is true. That was against Auburn, I think.
Yeah.
All right, your number 6 is, well?
Clemson.
Yep.
I just like Clemson a little better than I like Oklahoma. I think the Clemson's definitely going to lose to Florida. Not definitely, but I think they will lose at Florida State during regular season. So I think Florida State will win the ACC, but Clemson will still be 11-1 and get there in the playoffs.
Yeah, Clemson has to figure out her offense, though. If they're to
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to figure out is Jamel being a little more efficient. That's his biggest issue, is that he's not completing enough passes right now.
We're in trouble.
My number 6, and this one's kind of a weirder one. I have the Ducks up this high. I think they win the Pac-12. I think they beat SoCal both times. They match up really well. There is not a defensive line nastier than this one. Christian Okonkwo leads this stellar unit and really makes it hard for any quarterback to have a chance to expose a weaker secondary.
Yeah.
And if they don't make it this year, I definitely say they do it next year, because they'll have a few studs in the secondary coming in. But I like the Ducks now. So this is another team that really has to work on offense, because Jason Baum is
I mean, he's not anything special, but he's not exactly killing them. He's not hurting their team. So that's what he needs to keep doing, is feeding the Trevin Yeldon and not turning the ball over, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, Trevin Yeldon has taken kind of a backseat in the past few weeks to this defense, but you can't forget his 4-touchdown performance against Vandy. Move it over to Evan. Your number 6?
USC is who I have. So I think they win Pac-12.
Right, you think they will take over Oregon?
Yeah, I think they'll beat Oregon. Yeah, I think they'll beat Oregon.
All right, that's fair. Because Southern Cal is a really good team. I see. And Clem can talk a little more about that.
Yeah, I got USC at 5. I actually think USC is the USC-Oregon regular season game in Oregon.
Oh, it's in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay then. Yeah, I think they'll win that game, and I think they'll beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game again. I think they'll beat Oregon twice. So 5 might actually be a little bit low for them, but I think they're still a top 5 team right now, and they should make it.
Actually, according to the playoff formula, they would be 4 in your predictions, but
Oh, fuck it.
yeah, just a note. This is just top 8 teams, really, to make
Yeah.
the playoffs. My number 5 is going to be Tennessee, losers of the SEC championship game, but they are much improved from last year. If Julius Thomas can continue doing what he's doing and keep the ball in his hand, or keep the ball in their team's hands, they're going to be a good team. And just remember, they almost beat Bama last year, and they're better this year. All right, Evan?
Oh, for 5, I have Kansas.
All right.
I think they win the Big 12. This is my.
So Big 12 conference winner being outside top 4?
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Clem, you're number 4.
I've got Tennessee. I don't know why I got them at number 4. I actually really like what they're doing this season. I really like Sage as a coach, so I'll put them there at 4.
If they get a hump against Bama, then it's really hard to see this team not making a run. My number 14 is going to be the winner of the Big 12, and that will be Kansas, beating Baylor in a championship game. There's just something different about this team now. They seem more complete. They seem more. They just seem better.
X factor is how consistent Eric Jennings is.
Come again?
I said I think the X factor is how consistent Eric Jennings can be.
Yes, Jennings has been very efficient here so far. So if they keep that going, they should easily be a top 4 team. Over to you, Evan.
Wait, number 4, that's Tennessee. Well, was I think they'll be the second best SEC team most likely. And I can see whoever I have ahead of them, skipping down to number 4.
All right. You're number 3, Clem.
I've got Michigan winning the Big Ten. I can't speak to any one reason why I like Michigan. I think they have a really good, solid team, and I really like J.M. Jacobs as a coach, so I'll pick Michigan to win the Big Ten.
Something about Michigan doesn't seem right to me.
Something about Michigan's, well, it's Michigan, that's why it's not right. It's just a hellhole of a place. But I think this year that they just, I just like them. I don't know what it is. Can't speak to any one real statistic or factor I like. It's just the James Jacobs factor that I think I'm really attracted to with Michigan.
Yeah, I give you that. I've got to wait until Michigan gets in the conference play to really judge them. Doing what they're supposed to be doing right now. Penn State is my number 3 team. I like Tanner Bowman this year. Ricky Vega is going to be kind of the hero in the shadows, I guess. But this offense is spectacular. This defense is really good. I don't think they'll win the playoffs, but they should be a top 3 team come that time. Evan.
Yeah. Who do I have? Oh. Yeah, Penn State. These are the best Big Ten team. I don't think they're better than what I have at number 1, number 2. But who knows? The Big Ten is far from being decided. So, but for now, if the season ended today, I'd have Penn State at number 3.
Yeah. Do we all agree on the top 2 here?
I think right now the very clear top 2 teams are Bama and Florida State.
Yeah,
1
but
and
who's
2.
1 and who's 2?
Well,
Bama's 1.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bama's 1.
Okay,
yeah.
Bama still has the best defense in the country, and their offense is pretty good even after losing Nathan Wilson. So I really like Bama this year again.
Yeah, Rory Weston's oh, okay.
So should we talk about teams that we have outside the playoff and why we have them outside and not in?
Yeah, you do that.
I have Nebraska outside because I don't think they win the. I have Nebraska outside because I don't think they win their division.
Well, I've got Nebraska at probably 3rd in their division, but I still think they're, from being their number 9, just outside. I think they'll lose to Michigan. I think they'll lose to Purdue. They'll drop 1 to Minnesota or like Iowa. That Big Ten West is just absolutely loaded. There's losses all over the place for everyone in that conference, so it's tough to win. So I think they'll drop a couple games, couple really games. They're really good opponents, but they'll still drop them.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to drop the game with Purdue in a couple weeks, but I think they have enough to beat Minnesota and Iowa and Michigan, at least right now. Michigan's still kind of unknown to me. Team I have on the outside that, really 2 teams, are Ohio State and Purdue. Ohio State suffered a setback to Penn State, but they're still really good. They're still really mostly good. But if they can, well, not really worried about the offense, really. The defense is good enough to lead this team. It's just a matter of Albright doing enough in the air. And as for Purdue, they're good. They're really good. Got a really nice quarterback in Matt Jones, really good running back. The defense is the only problem I have. It was leaked against Tulane. Much better against Kent State, but I think there's a difference in talent there. We'll see how they fare this week against Notre Dame, and 2 weeks from now against Nebraska.
I got Purdue out as well. I got Minnesota in the hunt. Again, I got like 4 teams in the Big Ten West, either in the playoffs or right on the outside. So that's just how good that conference, that division is.
Just to mix it up, I'm going to name a Big 12 team, and I'm Baylor.
Yeah, all of us had Baylor in our consideration, except Jumbo, who had him at number 6. But I agree 100%. I like what Tuscan's doing with that program.
Now the table's going, Baylor's finally reaching their full potential.
Yeah, we can rag on Baylor now that Tuscan's gone. But Sean Bell leading that offense. You've got some decent receivers. You've got a quarterback that can do enough in Mark Schwartz. Kyle Cunningham leads a really nice secondary. Probably one of the better corners in the country. They should run away with that South Division. Everyone's having a down year.
Texas, TCU, Texas Tech. I'm trying to think of who else is in there. Maybe Oklahoma State's in there too, right?
I feel like Oklahoma State's going to be the team that challenges them. Maybe.
Only because of Raheem.
Yeah. But you've got Cunningham on them, so
yeah,
big matchup there. For Baylor, a game they could probably drop comes at Kansas. But other than that, I really can't see them losing.
I just don't think they'll win the Big 12 championship game, and I think that's the key to get them getting in, is winning that game.
I think it depends on who they play, really. If it's Kansas, I don't think they'll win it. If it's Oklahoma, I give them a good chance. If it's Iowa State, maybe. I know Sean Bell, Arturo Pacheco has been a fun matchup in the past, but Pacheco's come out every time.
Yeah.
We were talking about a group of 5 team. You guys are saying SMU. I'm saying Nevada has a good chance.
Hmm.
And they've got.
I don't know that they get past Air Force.
Well, that depends if those teams make it in the conference championship game, which I feel like is definitely going to happen.
Oh, I mean, Nevada plays in the West. Air Force is in the mountains, so.
Yes.
Nevada really needs to worry about is Fresno.
Yeah, and that's a home game for them.
But they've got the defense of anyone in the conference to beat Fresno.
Yeah, they're the only team in that conference, aside from maybe San Diego State, that has any shot of beating Fresno. And with it being in Reno, that'll definitely help. But Nevada has a couple games that could really go their way. You've got Hawaii at home in Week 7. Virginia Tech comes to Reno at Week 8.
Ooh.
You've got Boise in Week 12. If Boise can get it together. And Fresno in Week 14. Also, UNLV may or may not be tricky. We'll see.
That'll be the Fremont Canyon game. But
I'm just saying Nevada has the defense to make a run, and they've finally got some offensive production with
thanks to that Jonathan
Goodwin.
Wait. Yeah, isn't that? Oh yeah, Jonathan Goodwin. Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking the defensive end on the Colts for a second.
No, he's still good though. He's still good too.
Yeah.
And they're already 2-0. We've got a big win in Los Angeles against UCLA, and they switched it out against your Cavs.
Yep.
At home.
Yeah. They're a good team, but I just think the Mountain West Conference, I think it's a little tough. I think that they'll drop a game somewhere, and a G5 team right now can't make the playoff with the loss. It just won't happen.
Yeah, I agree there. I'm finding a hard time to see where they drop a game except at home against Fresno. Or maybe the conference championship game against likely Air Force. Maybe Colorado State. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
my G5 team, I think, really has only a chance, like I said earlier, is SMU.
I have a feeling SMU is just going to blow out a game.
At TCU?
No, probably not. Probably to Temple.
See, I think,
split with Temple.
I believe they don't play Temple in regular season, do they?
I think they do. They do if memory serves correct.
It's week 14. At home.
Then I'll give SMU the win there. Then they'll
think
probably play Temple
in the championship game.
Yeah. I think they'll both play in the championship game. I think SMU will win that again. If SMU goes 13, if SMU goes 13-0.
Alright. And it'd be hilarious if you beat SMU. That'd be hilarious. No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
But if SMU goes 13-0, I could see them making a case to be a playoff team.
I do think if SMU wins every game, I think they have a very good chance to make the playoffs.
See, I don't think they win every game.
I don't think so either, but if they do,
Yeah.
I think they have a very good chance. But I don't think they will. I think time will blow it once.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that. Rice doesn't have a secondary to really challenge him. That's the game.
I think that would be close, but I think SMU still beats Rice.
I see them struggling at TCU, really.
Well, they'll struggle, but with what TCU's offense is right now, and the way the defense has performed so far this season, I don't think that they'll drop that game. I think they'll win a very close one on the road. It's outside at TCU, right?
It's at TCU, yes.
I think they'll win a very, very close one on the road.
I think we'll learn a little more about SMU that week. Just if they can finally get over that hump. Other than that, Temple's really the only team they'll have to worry about.
And I think Temple might even have, if they win out, beat SMU twice, they might have a case too, with their one loss being at Minnesota by 2 points.
It wasn't at Minnesota; it was at home. But yeah.
Still, against Minnesota by 2 points.
Yeah, and you mentioned that if they do that, that'll include a win at Florida, a win at SMU, a win at home against UConn, a neutral site win against SMU, and if it goes well tonight, a home win against Oregon.
Yeah, they would absolutely have a case to make it.
Let's see. Yeah, that's really the only teams that really take a look at. Jumbo threw in Boston College, but I don't think, and Iowa State, but
I don't think either of those teams make it.
I think Iowa State may be too far gone. They have a good chance to make it, of course.
I think Boston College loses to both Clemson and Florida State.
I think they drop one elsewhere too. I don't think they're that great.
I
don't know why people are ranking them that high, Boston College. I know I've said this at least 3 or 4 times, but it's still true.
They host here. All right, here's the important thing though. They host Clemson. They host Florida State. They host Syracuse. They do have to go on the road to Wisconsin. And Boston College's front seven isn't all that great. They struggled against Newton of Iowa, so they could drop that one. They have to go to Miami, but I'm not really worried about that one.
No. Only player you have to watch out for in Miami is Brett Fisher.
Well, and maybe Richard Holt.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really been challenged yet, so I really don't know how good of a running back he really is.
He had 100+ against Maryland, but
Maryland's defense has lost quite a bit the last 2 seasons. It's not what it used to be.
But yeah, if Boston College is going to drop one, it's going to be one of his home games and that week. All right, so that's pretty much all we have lined up. Do you guys want to go and start picks?
Yeah.
All right, so taking a look at our morning slate. I'm upset that no one's posted signs except Jumbo and the Cougar flag. Big game this morning. I'm going to start with Duke at Georgia State. Let's go with Clem first.
I'll take Georgia State in a mild upset. The way Kyle Jefferson's played so far does lend itself to good play on the road. Duke's running game's taken kind of a hit with Josh Gray leaving, and the Duke's defense even hasn't been what I thought they would be so far. So, all in all, Duke's been a little underwhelming. I think they'll drop this one.
All right, Evan?
I think Duke wins, but I'm also assuming that Kyle Jefferson actually has a good game.
There's not much I can say about Georgia State's defense, but Kyle Jefferson being young and raw, it's not something you want to rely on. Evan Grant, on the other hand, is going to take advantage of Duke's front seven woes. They let up big yards to Minor. They let up big yards to Humphreys. Georgia State is going to win this game. in at least 10 points. ACC matchup between Virginia Tech and North Carolina. Let's start with Evan on this one.
Hold on, yeah, Virginia Tech. Since North Carolina has a mediocre QB and their coach is inactive, and they have a good defensive end who's a junior whose name I cannot remember.
Just
But yeah. But I think Matthew Dobson is having a bounce back season, so I think Virginia Tech wins.
All right, Clem.
I got Virginia Tech by at least 2 touchdowns. I don't think it'll be a very close game. I think even though North Carolina's defense is still solid and they still have a look to improve it, Max will also throw at least 1 interception. I think Matthew Dobbs continues his resurrection tour and torches his defense.
Chapel Hill will look miserable after Dobbs visits. Give me a 17-point win for Hokies. Don't really want to pick. Yeah, let's just go into all of these. Nebraska going into Bowl State looking for that 3rd win. Clem, you're started.
Oh! How about we go with the Ball State Cardinals to win 41-38 in overtime? Upset alert, Nebraska.
Evan?
Oh, yeah, what do you want to call? It's just, Nebraska. I don't think there's anything that's
Nebraska, yeah. I'm not honestly that far off of what Clem's predicting here. I think it's going to be a little closer than what we expect, but I have Nebraska winning by, I'll say 13. All right, Wisconsin, Florida Atlantic. Evan, you get to start.
What was it? Oh, yeah. Wisconsin beats Florida Atlantic. Wisconsin beats Florida Atlantic, and I think Aaron Blakely gets at least 1 touchdown.
All right, Clem.
I'll take Wisconsin by at least 4 touchdowns. It's going to be a close game.
Jamal Trufant is going to be unstoppable. Give me Wisconsin big again. North Texas going to Big House to take on Michigan. Clem.
Michigan's going to win this one. Again, like the last game, one team's really, really good, one team's not good at all. So it really isn't a contest here.
Evan.
So again, Michigan wins. Sneaks up on a story USA team.
Michigan, it's all. Purdue going to South Bend to take on the Irish. Do the Irish pick up their first win? Clem.
As much as I love Notre Dame, I'll have to go no. The team's kind of in a sad state right now. Purdue is, especially in offense, really, really, really solid. So I'll go Purdue by 17.
Clem. Wait, Evan.
Yeah, just distractions, but Purdue wins. Notre Dame's not that good. Purdue beats them fairly easy, like 31-14. My prediction.
Give me Purdue by 14. I think Notre Dame keeps it close. Right, Arizona State at Penn State. What could be a sneaky game? Evan.
Yeah. Penn State wins. But, I mean, it's a little bit closer than some of the other early this morning games, but I still think Penn State wins fairly easily.
Clem?
I don't think it's really that close of a game. I think Penn State is demonstrably better than Arizona State. I'll take Penn State 20 by 20 points.
Give me the Lions. I think Arizona State keeps it close, but Penn State will pull away 38-24. Colorado, Western Michigan, the quote-unquote Vector Bowl.
I think Colorado wins like a 13-9 sort of game. That's kind of how I see this playing out.
You know, I'll take the upset here. I'll take Western Michigan at home. Very close game, very low-scoring game. I think Latavius Murray gets shut down a little bit, and I think Gabriel Shields for Western Michigan runs all over this Buffalo defense. I'll take Western Michigan by like a field goal.
I wouldn't even call it a mild upset. I do think Western Michigan wins this one. And note the name Kareem Boykin. That's going to be the guy that slows down Latavius Murray. But I don't see Colorado stopping Shields at all. Give me the Broncos. And we have the next leg of the Davy Crockett Cup. It's Vanderbilt at Memphis. Start Evan.
Vanderbilt wins. I think their defense is too good.
I'll take Vanderbilt. Memphis isn't a very good team at all. Vanderbilt, not only as good as they were last year, but they're still much better than Memphis. So I'll take Vanderbilt by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, give me Vanderbilt here. Vanderbilt's not as good last year. Missing a lot of pieces, but Memphis just isn't good at all. So give me the Cougars. Right, afternoon games, we've got SMU going to Tulsa. Does the game plan come back to bite the Mustangs? Glenn?
No, I'll go with SMU still. I think they're still a better team. I know we all like to meme about Tulsa not having a coach, but
Tulsa
they
has
have
a
one
coach.
now. I know. But yeah, I'll still go with SMU by 10.
All right, Evan.
Yeah, SMU wins.
Yeah, I'm going to go against the grain here. We got to get some variety. I'm going Tulsa to the upside here. I really do think Colbert has his day. Virginia at Ole Miss. Clem, you're not picking this one, but keys to the game?
For me,
Yeah.
well, obviously the player we need to stop on offense for Ole Miss is Marquise Simpkins. No, sorry, Marquise Laws.
Wow.
We shut him down. We shut down the Ole Miss offense. And when we have the ball, don't turn the ball over, run the ball well, and run our routes well, and avoid Marcus Golden at all costs. We'll win.
All right. Evan, you can pick this game. The Cavs or the Rebels?
Ole Miss wins because Virginia is using an old game plan.
I gotta give the slight edge to the Cavs here. I just think overall they're a better team. Just expect a few key plays, really, from the defense. I don't think Laws is all that good. To Michigan State at Rice, Clem.
I'll take the Spartans. I think Rice keeps it a little interesting just because I don't buy into the Spartans as a team yet. But I still think Michigan State wins by 10.
Okay, Evan. Evan.
All right, it's just the Michigan State and Rice. Is that game? What are we doing now?
Yeah.
All right, so Michigan State wins. And Michigan State blew out Rice last year when Michigan State was terrible. So I don't see Michigan State having any trouble with Rice this time around.
That's fair. If Blake Fry could throw for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns against Rice, I'm afraid of what Davison can do. Without Corin Donahue, Rice really does not stand a chance. Give me Michigan State. Mountain West game, Colorado State at Air Force.
Colorado State.
All right, Clem?
I'll take Air Force at home. They're the better team. So I like Discreto. I like what he's able to do, what he showed he can do with that Air Force squad. I'll take the Falcons at home.
I think Air Force wins this game. It's going to be super close, though. Cotton Roy still likes it. Nevada, Oregon State with Clem.
I think Nevada shuts out Oregon State, wins by 17 or 20. This isn't really going to be a close game or pretty game at all.
Evan?
wins.
I'm,
And I don't
I'm,
think it's close.
I'm intrigued when you said it's going to be only a 17 or 20 point game with Nevada shutting them out. I think it's going to be more along the lines of a 38-0 Nevada. This game's not going to be close at all.
I see it's being like a 30-0 game.
I still don't trust Nevada's offense, but I trust their defense.
That's fair. I give them the edge over Oregon State's mediocre defense. Just give me picks on these next four. Stanford, Arizona, with Clem.
I'll take Arizona at home.
Evan.
Yeah, I'll take Arizona.
Give me the Cats. Evan, Kentucky at Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Clem.
We already addressed this earlier.
Minnesota.
Yeah, it's not going to be close, Minnesota. A&M at Mississippi State.
I think Mississippi State, yeah, they're ranked. And they have Tyler Jones.
Right,
Yeah,
Clem?
I'll take Mississippi State as well.
Terrence Rogers, Nova
I'm
Dame.
gonna be right back. I'll be back in like 3 minutes.
Okay, so that means we can just fly through this a little faster. Army at LSU.
LSU, not even close.
LSU, a little closer, but Army's not good enough. Now we get to the evening games. Evening. Clemson at TCU.
And I'll take Clemson 21-20. TCU's defense shows up a little bit more, but Clemson's defense I think is even better, right? Playing better than TCU's is right now. So I think they hold that pretty poor TCU defense to just 20 points.
I think 21-20 is a little too high. I'm going to go more along the lines of 16-13 Clemson. Both offenses are going to struggle mightily. Both defenses will step up a little more. I just think Clemson has a little edge on offense. Kansas going to Ames, take on Iowa State.
I think this one's going to be a really, really close game. I think it'll be a good game all game long. This could very easily go to overtime, but I'll take Kansas by like a field goal.
I am going to slide in the upset. I think Iowa State finally
I'm back now.
All right. I think Iowa State gets over the hump, beats Kansas by a touchdown. Pacheco's not going to let them go winless.
Yeah, I'll take Kansas. I said this earlier, but I'll still take Kansas.
All right. Ohio State going to Denver to take on Southern Cal. Evan.
Who do I have? I think it's a toss-up. I guess I'll take Ohio State. I think Blake Turner will shut down that 404 like sophomore USC quarterback.
All right, Clem.
I'll take USC by 10. It's at home for USC, I think, or it's a neutral site. It's a neutral site.
Game.
Right.
But it's closer to USC, so I'll take the Trojans here by 10.
Outside of Blake Turner, I don't think Ohio State can really stop Trickett. He's got some really nice receivers, William Doherty and Sean Waller. Give me Southern Cal by 10. It's going to be close. Iowa at Oklahoma. Clem.
I'll take Oklahoma. I think Iowa's quarterback is a little too young, a little too inexperienced to travel to Oklahoma and get that win, so I'll take the Sooners at home.
Evan?
So I take Oklahoma, and hopefully they don't do better than what they are currently doing in real life right now. So
For those keeping track at home, it's 33-17 Cougars right now. Yeah, give me the Sooners here. Iowa's still like a year away. Jeremiah Newton's not going to be enough. Alabama at Rutgers. Evan.
Alabama. I even though the team was close last year, I just think Alabama's just too good to lose to Rutgers.
I'll take the Crimson Tide. I think it's another very close game like it was last year. I think last year's game went to overtime, if I'm remembering correctly. But I'll take Alabama here by 7.
Know the name, guys. Benjamin Franklin, Elijah Moffitt. Give me Rutgers. Texas Tech at Auburn. Clem.
I'll take the Tigers here. I don't really like Texas Tech's team this year as a whole.
Tech,
I think Auburn's had
Texas Tech. I know they have that very good, strong safety, but their offense is a mess. So I'm gonna have to take Auburn.
Jermaine Locke has got himself a good day. Give me Auburn. Arkansas at Baylor. Start with Evan.
Baylor. Even though Arkansas's offense is good, but I don't know. I think Sheen Bell will get 3 touchdowns and lead Baylor to victory.
Clem?
I think Sean Bill runs all over Arkansas. Baylor wins by 10 at least.
Look for a Durant-esque performance tonight. Maybe north of 150. Give me the Bears. Shootout, 35-31. Oregon at Temple, Clem.
This is tough. Tougher than I thought it would be. But I will go Oregon by 6.
I see this being another like Temple Minnesota kind of game. Oregon nearly beating Temple, but I don't know. I think there's a chance Temple pulls it off.
I'm gonna go with the Ducks ever so slightly. I kind of agree with Evan. This is going to be a Temple Minnesota kind of an ordeal. Oregon's not going to be as explosive as they were against Iowa State, but they'll still get the job done. And that brings us to the week here in Knoxville, Georgia, Tennessee. Who takes the lead in the SEC East? Who remains undefeated? I'm going to start with Evan.
Tennessee. No, wait, no. I'm looking at the wrong name.
Justin Jackson adding to what's been an explosive second half for him. Not just running it, catching it as well. 115 yards here.
I'm gonna go with the Vols here. I really like what they do on defense, especially with Anthony Miller. Even though I know Georgia isn't gonna throw much.
When I played Tennessee last week, they just kind of their defense just totally shut down my offense. So I lost by 28 for that reason.
So I'll go Tennessee to win by 11.
I see this being like a 28-14 kind of game.
This one's been really tough for me to call because both teams kind of suit each other well. Tennessee is not going to be able to run it on Georgia, but Georgia's going to have a tough time running it on Tennessee. So I think the difference here will come with quarterback play. Who can keep the ball? Who cannot turn it over? And I think Georgia gets the edge in the secondary just a bit. McKinney's going to put Thomas under a lot of pressure. I've got the Bulldogs winning in a super close one.
Wow.
This game is going to live up to its hype. That'll do it from us here in Knoxville. Enjoy the games today. This is Imposter Coster, MP Clem, and Yellow Evan signing out for you. Enjoy.